to Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. I'm your annoying host, Charles. This is Xan, the less annoying host.
I'm even
really annoying, really.
I'm even your more annoying co-host. Yes, that's a lovely little phrase you've coined for it.
The Peaks Geeks?
Peaks Geeks, I like that.
Well, I know back in the day, because we're old enough, we remember that in the 90s, like, you had Trekkies and you had, Warsies and whatnot. Back in the day, Twin Peaks fans were called Peaks Freaks.
Peaks Freaks or members of the Lynch Mob.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about the Lynch Mob, yeah.
That was the one I remember hearing from Bob Costas. Talk about back in the day.
Yeah.
Bob Costas.
So I'm just throwing out Peaks Geeks. I don't know if it'll stick, but it sounds good. It rhymes.
Like
it rhymes, so it's phonetic. So
I like that a lot. Okay. That's a good one.
Thank you. We're welcome back for episode 28. Hard to believe we're 28 now.
Wow.
As we're going to talk about the autobiography of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Dale Cooper.
My Life, My Tapes.
My Life, My Tapes. Yep.
Yeah. So this was obviously a Twin Peaks tie-in book that came out on May 1st, 1991. So way back in the day, before Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which is one of the things we're going to talk about.
Yes, keep that in mind.
Yes, yeah. You kind of file that for future reference.
Yes.
And this was written by Scott Frost, who is the brother of Twin Peaks co-creator Mark Frost.
Kept it in the family. That's good.
Yeah. Nepotism is your friend.
Well, we have the autobiography written by the brother of one of the creators, and then the Diary of Laura Palmer written by the daughter of one of the creators. So at least it's, and that's another thing. This is definitely an official Twin Peaks book release.
Right.
Even says so right on the top there.
Xan is holding up her spiffy copy.
Yes, exactly. We should do a video podcast sometime just so people can see our goofy.
I know, we should. I'm
goofy
sure
visual aids.
I'm sure Rob would like that. So
one
of these days we need to record that. So maybe when we're all ready, and maybe after I lose a few pounds or something, so I can look a little more svelte.
Yes, I'll do something with my hair for sure.
Well, we both work today. So maybe we should do this like when we're like not coming home from a long day at work going, what a day. Not dragging so much.
I work at home, so full disclosure, still in pajama pants. So
I was home yesterday because we had a level 2 snow emergency here in Franklin County, Ohio.
Yes, we did. It was quite the snowmageddon, actually.
Yeah, snowpocalypse, snowmageddon, whichever snow catastrophe you want to call it. But so I stayed home and kind of tinkered around, and Lori stayed home, thankfully, so we were all nice and safe. And then I waited until 2:30 to go out and get comics.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
As soon as it dropped back to a level 1 snow emergency, I'm like, okay, bye, honey, gotta go get comics. See ya.
Priorities. It's a Wednesday. So since I work from home all the time.
Yes.
And fortunately for us, our team is in different parts of the country. People in Texas and in Florida, so it isn't as though everybody was just gone. But we had some people who had power failures, and so it was nice that I was able to be there, but I didn't have to go anywhere.
Yes.
So that was good. I had gone out the night before to make sure I had milk.
That's good. So you stock up on the essentials.
I did. Avocados were 2 for $1, so I had milk and guacamole. So I was fine.
Guacamole.
Yes.
All right. So let's get into the autobiography of Dale Cooper. We tried to break this down, and the book actually does a pretty good outline. They break it into 6 parts, and one of which is just like a really quick, they'll just nod that nothing actually happens during a few years. But so let's start with part 1, what I like to call the early years.
Yes, the early years. And here we find out that Dale Cooper was born in 1954.
Yes. April 19th, 1954.
Oh, who else's birthday is that?
I don't know.
I think it's mine.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You and Cooper are born on the same day? Holy, I never
Yes,
made that
we are.
connection. That's awesome.
We are twins that are
You're
22 years apart.
twin Twin Peaks. Ah, I see how it
Oh,
is.
we are Twin Peaks twins.
Twin
Yes,
Peaks
we
twins.
are.
There you go. You're Twin Peaksies or something like that. I don't know. Twinsies.
Twin
Twinsies.
twinsies.
Yeah. So yeah. Now apparently Cooper is 5 years older than Kyle MacLachlan is. So I
I
kind of
think
wonder
this
why that decision was made, but I think it's just mostly so they can incorporate some like '60s hippie stuff into his formative years.
quite possibly either that or they're making up for the fact that Paul Atreides was supposed to be like 14
Oh,
when Kyle
so now we're
MacLachlan.
going to the other gambit,
Right, right,
or
exactly.
you're just kind of like offsetting that a little
When
bit,
Kyle MacLachlan was in his 20s, he was supposed to be Paul Atreides, and so this is making up for that deficit.
right? Yeah, it doesn't quite look 14 in David Lynch's Dune, but
Nope.
nope. But that's okay. He's still awesome in it.
Still looks good, so who cares?
Long live the fighters! Oh, sorry.
I am the Quixote Haderach.
Yes. I could quote that movie all day. I love
Oh,
that
I
movie.
know.
It's so
And
good.
all 6 hours of it, baby.
Exactly.
That's
So,
usually a good way for me to fall asleep is to watch Dune
yeah,
because it's so ambient and so long.
right.
And there was one night where I couldn't sleep, and the Alan Smithy version of Dune was on. That's the
Yeah,
super long one that
that
David Lynch took his name off of.
right. Because Alan
And
Smithy, yes, is a Hollywood term for directors that don't want to acknowledge that this is any way associated with them.
exactly, the Alan Smithy is a fake director name. And
Yes.
by the time I was thinking there, I was sitting there thinking to myself, "Oh my God, we are about to drink the water of life, and I'm still awake. This is not good."
Usually you're out by then.
I am never gonna. Usually, I'm out before the Duke is dead.
Right.
Okay, like it doesn't take long.
I see. I get into it. I get all pumped. I'm like, I hear the Toto music going, all dramatic and everything, and dun 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 dun.
Right, that gets you
And,
pumped. But then when you have like Chani's love theme, which is so like sweet and
yeah,
ambient, that you're
yeah,
like, "Oh, this is so relaxing,"
yeah,
and then it's so pretty. It's such a pretty movie that you're just sort of like, "Oh," and of course, I know the story so well that I'm just like
yeah.
not really paying attention.
Right.
So
You don't feel like you have to be like drawn in because you know it so by heart.
exactly, 2001, same thing.
Yeah.
Ambient sounds, gorgeous looking movie. Not a lot It's not very action packed in certain parts of it, and it's fantastic, but it really does sort of just
Yeah.
put you to sleep. But anyway,
That's kind of like me with Star Wars or the first Superman movie
mm.
that I know it by heart.
Oh yeah, absolutely know
Yeah.
those by heart. But
Okay.
we could probably talk about Dune on another podcast. Do
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
other films,
We probably should. We could do a little David
other
Lynch.
films of David Lynch
Yeah.
and the Twin Peaks people before Twin Peaks.
Right.
So
All right. But as far as the autobiography goes, before we get too far off the roadmap,
because we never do that.
no, not us. No. But this is why you love us, right?
Exactly.
Hopefully. Okay, so let's dive in. So December 25th, 1967, Dale Cooper, age 13, gets his first tape recorder.
Awesome. It's a reel to reel. So
Norelco B200 model, for those
it's a
of
big
you.
old monster of a thing.
Yeah, the big
So
ass reel to reel babies. You know, like kind of like you see in like police interrogation rooms in cop shows of the 70s
yep.
or Mindhunter. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that Dale lives at 1127 Hillcrest Avenue in Philadelphia, PA. So all in all, I'd rather be in Philadelphia, as W.C. Fields once said.
All things being equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
Yep. And we find out that his older brother Emmett is in college. We don't get a lot of Emmett for reasons that we find out later. And right off the bat, young Dale Cooper, in these young Dale Cooper chronicles, is a bit of a weirdo.
And he's also very straight laced and very, very interested in the law already.
Right.
One of his prized possessions is a poster of Jimmy Stewart from the FBI story, and only he's allowed to touch it.
Right.
So already he's interested in law enforcement, specifically the FBI.
Yeah, and he's telling people that, oh, you can only come into my room if you know the password, which of course changes every week because
Changes every week. Yes.
because obviously, right?
Right, because God forbid your mom comes in your room when you have Jimmy Stewart posters on your wall.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's not like he lives in Spicoli's room with a bunch of pinups on his wall. So,
Hey, bud,
and
let's party.
we left this England place because it was bogus.
Yeah,
We don't get some cool laws pronto. Well, we're just going to be bogus too.
nice. So,
Aloha, Mr. Hand.
so Mr. Hand. Oh, sorry.
Do you have a guy like me in class every year? One you try to make an example of?
Yeah.
Dad says you have to get up, you butthole.
See, this is how we digress, just like
This
that.
is what happens to us. This is why I need Charles.
Yeah, exactly. So,
What is this bizarre segue that's happening right now? Can we maybe stay on point?
there we go. So,
No,
little
no, we
Blaine
can't.
from iZombie.
Right.
So that's where I got that from. Let's see. So apparently his dad was really insistent about this, telling Dale, this recorder is the future, and everything that I, being his dad, and everything I represent is a dinosaur.
Which I think is fascinating in 1991
Yeah.
because, first of all, this book that we're reading printed on paper,
Hmm.
and
Hey kids,
Dale
remember
Cooper's
paper?
yeah, Dale Cooper's father, of course, runs a print shop in town. He has his own print shop, and so his father is thinking that audio is going to be the wave of the future, that people are going to no longer need paper in lieu of audio,
Right.
and that has kind of happened, but it did take about 25 years since this book was written for that to happen.
This
So,
is true. He was about a generation ahead of his game.
but he saw the future,
He was so prescient. Yes.
so good for him.
So apparently, young Dale gets into like little adventures where, like, his neighbor Bradley Schlerman, his
Hmm.
Stingray bicycle gets stolen by the 24th Street gang. They
And he
took,
goes to, well, before we get into the 24th Street gang, I think it's important to mention that Cooper goes to school
yeah,
at a school run by Quakers
yes,
who are famously pacifist.
right,
So I think that is definitely, and Cooper's father says that they're not any particular religion, but he puts the Quakers up there with the Unitarians.
right.
So Cooper's
He has it.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Cooper's got an interesting dichotomy of his personality that we know from the show.
I was
That
just
he
going
is,
to use that word because, yeah, I mean, his life is so tinged with violence.
it is so tinged with violence. He is such an excellent marksman.
Right,
However, he is very famously pacifist with his studies of the Dalai Lama
right.
and just in the way that he runs his personal life.
And he's open to things like he's very spiritual.
He's very open to things he can't see.
Right.
Yes, so I think that is definitely worth mentioning, that his school is run by Quakers.
Yeah, which is obviously not your typical FBI guy.
It's definitely not your typical young boy
Right.
either. Cooper is, not to say that all young boys are violent little Tasmanian devils or anything like that,
Right.
but
No.
children children tend to be violent, as you can see in the 24th Street Gang, things like that. Yeah, the 24th Street Gang does not end well for Cooper and his tape.
No, because basically he tries to conceal this tape recorder, which again is this really huge reel-to-reel device.
He has bought a battery
So
pack
he,
for
like he,
it,
like
but
he,
now
like
to the
like
left.
he tried to hide it in a backpack, I think.
Hmm.
And so he tries to confront the gang and get like a confession, I guess is his plan.
Right,
And they end up stealing his tape recorder. But
right, and
go ahead.
the police find it
Right,
because they are investigating another crime, and it just happens to be part of the stolen booty that is with the 24th Street Gang.
right. But apparently no sign of the bicycle.
Sadly, no.
No. He should have got a hold of Pee Wee Herman to find out how he got his bicycle back.
You got to go to the Alamo.
That's where it is. It's in the basement of the
It's the
Alamo.
basement of the Alamo. That's where all bicycles go, right?
They took my bike. So, he ends up.
Why? What's the significance? I don't know.
I love that interrogation scene in Pee-wee's Big.
Is this something you can share with the rest of us? Amazing, Larry.
That exact quote is what I love. I love that scene.
That's the best moment.
Yep. So young Cooper writes, like, he's trying to get, like, reach out. I think he has an idea what he wants because he's obviously seen, like, the Jimmy Stewart movie and whatnot, and he's watched the FBI starring a young Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who was the star of the FBI on ABC from 1965 to 74. And a little side note, he was also Alfred in Batman the Animated Series. So, so that's kind of awesome. And he's like, eventually he's writing to Ephraim about his future with the FBI. Not quite getting that, hey, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. is an actor. And he starts thinking about, oh, hey, maybe I'll write J. Edgar Hoover. So,
FBI?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you ever watch the FBI?
No, I've never seen that series.
Okay, well, it goes to great pains to let you know that it has FBI consultants for the realism that they portray in the show.
Kind of like Dragnet?
Way more realistic than Dragnet.
Okay. I would hope.
Rather than the names have been changed to protect the innocent sort of everything, it does tell you that there are consultants from the FBI that have consulted on this program. So for a 13-year-old kid, that's about as close to the FBI as he's going to get. So,
well, essentially, this is like really good advertising for the FBI. So I can see why they would be a part of it.
Exactly. So, I'm sure Cooper noticed that there were the consultants, and he probably figured that Ephraim Zimbalist had spoken to those guys at one point. So,
right. So, while all this is going on, Dale develops this interest in Bradley's sister, Marie. Who
he can see through his window, and she they have a little "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret" kind of relationship going on, where they know that they're looking at each other.
Exactly. So Marie has one or two issues. Going on, just a few. Yeah, so like the first time he kind of notices her is that she's, I guess, probably in the window or something in her house in her mother's red wig and dancing, what he says, in a strange way.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there just grabs his attention.
Oh yeah.
And then keeps watching her dancing in her room, and at some point she takes off her shirt and exposes her bra, which is presumably the first time he gets aroused.
Probably, yeah, because this is prior to his covert espionage in the 8th grade girls' locker room that happens a little bit later.
So yeah, we get a little bit of Cooper-D going on. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I don't know if that's a word, but I'm making it a word.
Well, it is for Cooper.
Yeah, it pretty much is. He becomes a member of the Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is a big deal to him because his goal is to become an Eagle Scout.
Yes.
Like Dale's the kind that he plans very long term.
He does. He has very specific goals, and he is always working towards those goals.
Right. Which is probably why was so successful at becoming an FBI agent.
And I like how when as he ages, the goal of getting laid is like still second only to becoming an Eagle Scout.
Well, especially in college, because holy crap.
Yeah.
But
he has some bad experiences, let me just tell you.
He complains about early on that I could never hook up, and he does have trouble hooking up, but eventually,
and when he does, it's like really kind of depressing.
It is, and we'll get into that. But yeah, Cooper's life is basically defined by two things: the women in his life and violence.
Yeah, kind of. That's true. Because some of the most defining moments of his life are the assassination of Martin Luther King and of Robert Kennedy.
Right. And one of the things, in this book, he basically defines like his three main relationships are his mother, Marie, and Caroline,
Caroline.
which we'll eventually
Car-
talk about.
Caroline Earl.
Yep. So, but again, those are the relationships. He doesn't really talk about his father being much of a role model. Like he's close with his father, but he seems more formed, the way he is because of his relationships with women.
Well, definitely with his relationship with his mother.
Right.
I think because we find out in his childhood that they both share similar nightmares.
Right. So they're basically kind of wired. I think they're wired pretty much the same way. I think Cooper gets a lot of what that kind of precognitive ability
Yes.
from his mother.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, gets the baggage that goes along with that. I
Oh,
think.
poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marie ends up getting a new brother, and at this point, like he goes over to visit
Hmm.
with his family, and while he's over at the Schlerman house, Marie whispers for Dale to come up to her room and asks him if he knows anything about breastfeeding.
Hmm.
See where this is going, kids?
This just gets weird. This is,
So apparently Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. writes Dale back and gives him an autographed picture. So
yep.
yep. So there he gets to put that on his wall, and he gets his first merit badge for knot tying. Which apparently,
Because
yeah. Go ahead. You want to go ahead and
he
say?
got some practice with that from Marie. So
Yeah. Apparently,
he,
that Marie let him tie her up in her bedroom.
and Bradley says that he's pretty sure it was more for practice than for arousal,
Right.
just based on Cooper's personality at the
Well, as
time.
far as what Cooper thought, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So,
Because it hasn't like clicked in his head yet, I think. He's just more like, oh yeah, I want to practice my knot tying, and you're gonna let me. That's awesome.
oh, that's great. It
Yeah.
reminds me. It reminds me of the movie After Hours. Have you ever seen that
No, no, I don't think I have.
with Griffin Dunn? He's in someone's apartment and thinks that she has been tied up by
Yeah.
robbers, but it's her boyfriend, and he's trying to untie her, and he's like, "God, what this is like really professional. What are these guys, sailors?" So yeah, so he got his merit badge in knot tying
Yeah.
with the help of his friend's older sister.
Yeah.
So.
And apparently Marie tried to tie him up, but oh, that Dale, he escaped because he's crafty like that.
Because he's crafty like that. And what's the point of her practicing knots? She's not trying for a merit badge.
Exactly.
That's just a waste of time.
A little naivete here, but
Is adorable.
it is adorable. But it also says a lot about Marie. It's like, well, apparently she was into bondage really early.
Marie, yeah, Marie's got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
And as we find out
right.
from
yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dale's grandmother, who just is called Grandmother Cooper, just has a stroke and dies while she's over at their house.
Right. And this, what I found was interesting about this
Yeah.
was that she died holding a cherry pie.
Yeah, she was making a pie in the kitchen.
Right. And so when she's on the ground,
right,
she has, like cherry pie juice on her face.
Right.
And that really surprised me that Cooper does not now have an aversion to pie.
Right.
It surprised me that he still grew up being, loving cherry pie.
You would think there would be some kind of trauma involved with that, but apparently, because we obviously know that Cooper loves pie, and this is the first person that he ever sees dead.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't afraid, and this is probably why he wasn't traumatized by it.
Right.
I think he was just more curious about it, because he talks about the electricity keeping us alive.
And he doesn't understand where it comes from or where it goes.
Right.
So that's the stuff.
A little electricity.
That's the stuff.
Yep. He reads Hound, I guess he's into Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, so he's reading The Hound of the Baskervilles, which makes perfect sense. Yep. And apparently this inspires him to become a detective. which
Yes.
he decides his first case is going to find out where the eighth grade girls go when they go to health class.
Uh-huh.
And Xan, being a former eighth grade girl, I'm sure you can relate to this area a little bit.
There's a lot of models of uteruses going on in eighth grade girl health class. Because it was fifth grade girl health class that all of the girls went into, got separated from the boys and then came back with their
Yeah,
samples of maxi pads. Oh my God.
yeah,
So,
and
yes, I don't
and
know what the boys learned, but we learned about our periods at that time.
yeah,
So,
and meanwhile the guys are just like, okay, where are they going? What's
where are
up?
the girls going and why'd
What's
they take their backpacks with
yeah,
them?
what's up with that? So Dale finds this like an irresistible mystery. So he crawls up in the air vents with his big old
With
tape
his
recorder,
gigantic Norelco tape recorder.
his big ass tape recorder. Um, and all he apparently sees is a clear plastic model of a breast.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of those, kind of, oh, cutaway type
Yes.
models or whatever.
It's a cutaway to show the milk ducts that come
Got it.
out of the breast.
Got it. So
So,
he ends up getting busted. Surprise.
by the
Uh,
janitor because he went in through the janitor's closet.
yeah. And his tape recorder is banned from the school for the rest of the year. So I thought that
Banned
was
from the school, which is probably a good thing because it's got to be heavy
yeah,
and it's just going to get broken or stolen if he keeps lugging it back and forth.
yeah. I bet he can't wait for the invention of the microprocessor at this point.
Seriously.
Um, it's about this time that Martin Luther King gets assassinated in Memphis,
Hmm.
and Dale turns 14, gets a Timex watch, and his brother splits to Canada because hey, he's trying to avoid the draft.
That's exactly what's going on. And they
Yeah,
say that he's in Canada and he's not coming home anytime soon.
yeah. So, and for those who aren't quite connecting the history, this is what during the Vietnam War.
Yes.
So, which
And
is when a lot of people were, including our president, were doing some draft dodging.
yes, they were. And Cooper is sort of puts this together because his school is hiding a draft dodger
Yes.
as well. They have offered sanctuary to a draft dodger, and he sort of puts it together that that's what his brother's doing in
Yeah.
Canada as well.
Yeah. And
So
apparently
he said
the FBI comes to arrest that guy.
they do, right? And so Cooper is a little conflicted on that because his brother, I forget what they say about his brother going to Canada. He's like, I think he went because his draft number is 3.
Yeah.
So
That's what they said. Yeah, that was great.
Cooper's pretty well. He pretty much understands what the
Yeah.
what the deal is with that.
Yeah. He's not naive in that area, at least.
No, he's not.
Marie ends up telling Cooper that she can't talk to him until he's older.
Mm-hmm.
And this does not set well with Dale, so he ends up following her. So he's all creepy, stalky guy.
Mm-hmm. And
Sees her kissing some guy, some boy.
yeah, some boy who probably drives.
Right.
So.
So get the violins going for Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Unrequited love, and this takes us to about June of '68, where Robert Kennedy is assassinated.
Yes.
RFK.
Yeah, Bobby Kennedy is
Yep,
shot.
in Los Angeles, and that night apparently Marie was a big Kennedy supporter because she stands naked in her dark room and looking toward his window. So she knows that he's watching her, standing
Mm-hmm.
naked in front of the window. Where were girls like this when I was growing up?
I
I,
haven't the foggiest clue. I don't.
I
I
apparently
was.
lived in a very boring neighborhood as a kid.
I guess so. Maybe it
This
was
never happened.
Philadelphia.
Maybe that's it. It's those
Is this what W.C. Fields was talking about?
maybe that's how he rolled.
Maybe I don't know. But
Oh, my little
yeah,
chickadee. Yes, Philadelphia.
yeah, exactly. I was not a girl like this. I didn't know girls like this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
Marie is a very interesting girl. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, she is.
So apparently they get a train coming carrying Bobby Kennedy's body that
Mm-hmm.
goes through Philadelphia. Marie and Cooper both go. She takes his hand and then French kisses him.
Wow.
So this is a big deal, especially in the '60s.
Yes, it is.
And then she ends up Now, again, this is where Marie's really kind of messing with Dale's emotions here because then, after kissing him, she tears up and then runs away.
Yes, she does.
So, and Dale's probably like, "Wait, what just happened?"
Dale's probably like, I don't understand girls
Yeah,
at all.
this is the part of girls, women that just drives guys nuts because it's like, wait,
What? Yeah, this
we
is
had a thing, and you're
you just
gone.
kissed me.
You just took off. What's up with that?
What is going on? And I think it's okay to at this point in their lives to refer to her as a girl because
hmm Well,
she's what at most like 16 years old.
I know she's older than her brother, but
Right.
she's certainly acting a little bit immature, to say the least.
Well, she's certainly acting like she has no idea what she's doing, but is
Yeah,
trying to act like
yeah,
she does.
yeah.
So
Now, so you don't think she's stringing him along?
I think she has no idea what she's trying to do. I think
She's
she thinks,
confused.
well, I think she thinks she's old enough to handle things, and then when she does them, she can't handle them, as evidenced by her next escapade of, what was it, bad acid and then probably Bible camp?
Kind of. So, like,
Yeah.
let's see. So, at this point, Cooper writes J. Edgar Hoover, explains his plans to become an FBI agent, and asks Hoover for advice.
Yes, he does.
So,
And Hoover writes him back, which is awesome.
yeah. He apparently congratulates him on taping his sex education class. Or
He thought
the
that
girls' sex education class.
because, as we all know now, Hoover was a bit of a perv, so
A bit of a perv, yeah,
he
slightly.
was probably very impressed with his
Right.
espionage abilities and his espionage
Yeah.
choices.
So apparently he decides to hook Dale up with a tour and meeting a special agent. So
Yeah.
this is big in young Dale Cooper world.
This is a big deal in everybody's life. I mean, anybody that, like, I remember hearing
Right.
I think it was a This American Life about some kid who got invited to Pittsburgh to meet Mr. Rogers,
Okay.
like to bring his family to meet Mr. Rogers. And, that, like, to me, even to this day, as a 41-year-old person, I would have done that in a second. I think that's amazing. So, yeah, that's an incredible, incredible thing to have
Right.
J. Edgar.
And especially
Say, come on, take a tour.
especially if it's somebody you idolize. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
This would be like me getting a tour of DC Comics. Something like that. I'd be geeking out pretty hard.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So so he goes to the FBI building and gets to shoot a service revolver on the gun range.
And he's already really good.
Yeah, the funny part is, okay, so he ends up what he calls outpointing, which is essentially scoring more on the target than the actual agent that's there with him on the gun range.
I know.
Like he apparently on the last round he ends up getting a bullseye.
Yep, he does very well. He's an excellent marksman.
But there's no talk of that he's ever fired a gun before. So
No, there's no talk of that whatsoever.
So is he just maybe a natural at this?
I think maybe. I think his powers of
he was destined to become an FBI agent.
Yes, I think his powers of observation probably help him with that as well.
Well, he talks about like, he can feel the weight of the gun and know when like there's a bullet that's, not quite right or whatever, so he can adjust his aim to compensate.
Right, like when he first joins the academy and he misses a couple of
It's very Sherlock Holmesian.
Very Sherlock Holmes, and he joins the academy and goes to target practice and then realize that there's something wrong with the bullet chamber, so he gets another gun and then he does like bullseye, 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 bullseye.
Right.
So it's impressive.
He's just very gifted in this, apparently. So let's see what else. So Marie ends up coming home from vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently now she's gone total hippie.
She's gone hippie.
Like she's painting flowers on her cheeks and whatnot, and her forehead.
And Dale says that he's not sure he wants to do anything with her while she still has flowers on her face.
Like if you ever seen Goldie Hawn and Laugh-In, pretty much like that.
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
exactly.
She calls Dale an establishment pig who will never achieve nirvana. It's like,
and he, of course, has to look up Nirvana and see what that is. And
yeah,
so I think,
And this is not the band, kids. This is
This is like
This is the,
way before
this
the band. Yeah.
this is achieving total consciousness. You're like, one
Yes.
day you will achieve total consciousness. So I got that going for me, which is
Which
nice.
is nice.
Yeah.
One day you will evolve beyond your corporeal being, and on that day, I hope you pick up the phone. That is from
I
Futurama,
was
where
gonna.
Lisa
I was
meets
gonna.
that guy, that energy guy at the singles
Oh,
bar, where
okay.
he doesn't have a body, and
Right.
she's kind of looking for a man with a body,
I
and
knew that.
he's.
I knew that sounded familiar. All
And on
right.
that day, I hope that you pick up the phone.
That's awesome. Cooper's Uncle Al visits. They end up going to a men's social club,
How does he get 14-year-old Dale Cooper into the gambling club?
unless he knows a guy.
Well, obviously, Uncle Al
Yeah,
knows a guy.
apparently, but yeah, just well, obviously, yeah, because Uncle Al appears to be connected with a little shadiness.
A little bit of shadiness,
Yeah,
yes.
and Dale, while he's there, sees a guy who's missing an ear, and it's like, dude, didn't you see Blue Velvet? That's where the ear went.
Thank you.
Thank you, right?
Yes,
That was
exactly.
the first thing I thought
Exactly.
of when I read that. I was just like,
Me too. Me too. I was like, oh, yeah. Did we not say that Blue Velvet was the precursor for Twin Peaks?
yeah,
Here is yet another example of that.
exactly. And now, Dale, you're going to find that when you're calling yourself Jeffrey Beaumont.
Right. You're going to be walking down Lincoln,
Yep,
and you're just going to find it in the fields.
yep, exactly.
And
You're going to
then
hear,
it's
she wore blue
velvet.
Yeah.
Bluer
And
than
then you're going to see
velvet.
that really, like, icky close-up of an ear infested with ants.
That's moldy.
Yeah,
So gross.
ew.
Ugh,
Yeah,
nasty.
yeah, it's pretty nasty. Dale sees a boy named Howard in Marie's room, and then the next day,
Well, hang on a second. We're not done talking about Uncle Al here.
okay, all right. You want to go into Uncle Al? That's cool. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say that Uncle Al teaches Cooper how to count cards.
Oh, that's right.
And Cooper doesn't quite realize that he's like not supposed to let on that he knows how to do that.
Yes.
So they basically wind up getting run out of the joint.
Right.
And
That's right.
Uncle Al's
I forgot about that.
Uncle Al's like, yeah, that's great, kid. Now just run. So, which I think is interesting because we see in the show in Twin Peaks where Cooper says that whenever he gambles with the Bureau's money, he wants to bring back at least a double return.
Yeah, he says talking about like a good 25% or something. I forget what it was.
Something like that, yeah. And
or 50%. I can't remember what he said, but.
And that's what he plays is blackjack.
Right.
So that's where he learned that skill.
Exactly. Mr. Jackpots.
Mr. Jackpots.
Mr. Jackpots. Oh wait, that's a little later, but yeah.
That's a little bit later, and that's just the slot machines.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where he gets his gambling chops is from his Uncle Al.
Yep. And it's interesting because they tie in so much with Vegas and casinos and whatnot, and his dad, as we find out in this, has a bit of a history with Vegas and Reno and whatnot.
I lost Dad, and then he was married the next morning.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, we'll go into that a little bit later.
But no, I just thought it was interesting. So yeah, Marie ends up getting found unconscious in a meeting hall, gets taken to the hospital.
Bad mushrooms.
Yeah, pretty much the headmaster believes that she OD'd.
Mm-hmm.
Dale goes to visit her in the hospital posing as her brother. And Marie tells him, and this is kind of where we see that Marie has gone completely off the rails here.
A little bit.
She says she tries to kill herself with pills, and if she makes him this offer, that if he helps her escape these restraints that they've placed on her so she won't kill herself, she'll let him touch her anywhere, and she'll give him oral.
And he would feel better about that if she remembered his name.
Yeah, pretty much. This is true. So he says no, and then at that point she flips out and bites his arm.
Yes. So she goes a little bit, bad mushrooms, kids.
Yeah.
This is why we don't do drugs.
This is why we're not in the 60s anymore. We shouldn't be. But
this is why we stick to gin and tonic.
Yeah, this is why we stick to, opioids. I don't know. But anyway.
Opioids and weed, kids.
Come on, do it right. And so the month later, Nixon gets elected president. Dale's not quite sure yet how he feels about that.
He's not sure about that yet. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Um, I can understand that feeling.
I don't
Uh,
blame her.
yep. Then a month later, after that, he has this dream that frightens him, and this is where we start getting some ominous supernatural overtones here.
Yes.
A man keeps calling his name and says that he wants him, and
Ooh, I
he
wonder who that could be.
yeah, especially when he screamed and roared like an animal. Hmm.
Ah,
Who
I
does
think we
that
know who that is.
Who does that remind me of? Now, why didn't Cooper recognize him later, though? Like that's
Well,
the
I
yeah,
think
what,
it's possible that he just tried to block it because the nightmares, he's also been having the nightmares about the birds,
right. Well, that's what his mom
and
had. Yeah,
that's what his mom has had. So I think he might have just sort of blocked it out with the tragedy that was his mother dying,
maybe. So
which is coming up soon. Not bad of a spoiler.
so yeah, we kind of get a little inference here that Bob was also like watching Cooper.
Well, the thing is, Cooper doesn't mention what he looks like. He just mentions what he sounds like.
Right. Oh, so maybe he just like he was kind of on the periphery.
Right. He said the man was calling for him,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
he never mentions what he looks like. So maybe he
His
didn't
mom,
actually
yeah, because he tells his mom about this dream, and she says she knows about him in air
him.
quotes,
Yes.
him, and apparently she has the same dream as Dale, and she warns him to never let the man into his room.
Good advice.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Um, so Dale's got that going for him, which is not nice.
Which is nice.
And he ends up getting a lung infection, starts dreaming of the man several more times.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because that's what Bob does. He gets
yep,
you when you're down.
exactly. Marie visits him because, hey, that won't get weird.
No, it doesn't get weird.
This time she shows up wearing a cheerleader uniform
Mm-hmm.
and, of course, tells him that she found Jesus.
Of course she did.
Yeah, of course she did.
Because that's
And
what happens
and Dale
after bad mushrooms.
and Dale's just like, "Come on, you're killing me."
Why is it that the Jesus and the cheerleader outfit are the same day?
I know.
That's not fair.
It's like just let me enjoy the cheerleader outfit for just one day
Seriously.
before you lay the Jesus trip on me.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, needless to say, this is really messing with the poor guy's head.
Yeah, she is definitely messing with him, and that's why I think that she
Yeah,
just has no idea what she's doing. She's just trying to be grown
right,
up
right.
and has no idea how to
Yeah,
do it.
I don't think she's deliberate. I think she's just unintentionally screwing with his head.
She is wackadoo, is
Yeah,
what's going on.
pretty much. She's what I like to term in college high maintenance.
Oh, no, I think this goes beyond high maintenance.
Yeah.
High maintenance means you have to pick the place for dinner,
Oh,
and
okay.
it better be good. This is wackadoo.
Okay. All right. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair
You
enough.
better know what I like, and you better make it good. That's high maintenance.
Right. Okay.
But yeah.
He ends up, for some reason, he runs into like a body, sees a body of a man stabbed in the neck because, hey. So
Because
he
this
just
is
comes,
David Lynch.
yeah, he just comes across dead bodies. He's not even the FBI yet, and he's coming across dead bodies left and right here.
And this was one of the guys from the casino that Uncle Al took him to.
Right. So, and he tells the police about the guy with the missing ear,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently they act on it. Next, we find out that there's a new girl in school named Anne Sweeney. Dale is immediately smitten with her.
Mm-hmm. And
But
this unfortunately goes nowhere.
yeah, because Dale turns 15, and then he gets upset because he finds out that Nancy Nordstrom, one of the field hockey players, likes
Mm-hmm.
her.
Yeah.
So apparently Anne is playing for the other team, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, and Dale is just like, come on.
Come on. And she unfortunately gets hit in the head with a hockey ball.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion.
Well, Dale ends up getting hit in the head by a hockey ball later
Yes.
too.
Oh, yes. It's
field,
Dale. It's
field
Dale.
hockey. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets hit in the head by the field hockey ball, and
Yeah.
I think that they're.
I think Dale just he goes over and then he like tries to blow up Nancy's mailbox or something at this point.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
As revenge, he's like he's got this like he wants to like I don't know, punch her or something for liking Anne. And the way he tries to get that aggression out is by blowing up her mailbox,
Exactly. This is his misplaced teenage boy aggression.
pretty much.
That's how it's manifesting
That's
itself.
this is pretty much as bad boy as Cooper gets, apart from
Yeah,
maybe.
and that this is his bad boy phase, and that
Yeah,
it ends.
yeah,
It pretty much ends there.
yeah. So Anne ends up moving back to Great Plains, and um, this time, the one of the guys at his dad's printing shop loses a hand.
This is really
Y-
disturbing that it
Right.
gets caught in the printing press and then it's just flattened with like some sort of
Yeah.
flyer printing on it.
Yeah, it was probably like pressed down in one of those rollers or something, I'm
Hmm.
guessing.
Yeah.
So the guy doesn't seem like terribly upset about it.
He kind of freaks out. He yells and then kicks the hand
Yeah,
across the
yeah, he's
room,
like he's mad at the hand for getting
and
detached.
then he just goes into shock and just falls down and
Right. And Dale
just
does this because he's Boy Scout.
right.
Knows how to apply pressure and stop
And
the
he knows the
bleeding.
tourniquet, so
Yep.
he takes care of that.
And then he picks up the hand. So he's like picking up the hand, going, "That's all." Yep.
Ugh. Yeah, and whatever they were printing got printed on the hand like it was silly putty or something. It's just very disturbing.
Let's give this guy a hand. Woo!
Oh, look what you did there.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
Thank you.
So here we are in '69, and oh, hey, it's time for the Apollo 11 flight mission to the moon. Woo! And July 20th, the Eagle has landed. The day after that, Marie takes Dale out to the backyard,
Hmm.
and Dale's thinking, okay, this is it. This is where I get to make my move. What does she
Well,
do? What does she do? She prays with him for 2 hours, or
for
really,
like
she
2
she
hours.
prays, and he's just there holding her hand.
Hmm.
So,
That's a long time to be patient about
yeah.
whatever's going on there.
So, yeah,
Oh, Cooper failed at Plinko yet again.
he did. You think he'd be better at it by now?
No,
So,
it Cooper,
yeah,
not a lucky in love kind of a guy.
no, no, especially not in those formative years. No. So
No.
then, of course, he ends up regretting not kissing her.
Mm.
Uh, Later, he goes to the Boy Scout Jamboree, ends up leaving the Jamboree after he gives what he terms Nazis some food poisoning.
Oh yes, yes, the Nazis,
Yeah,
the other Boy Scouts.
yeah, exactly. So, well, apparently these Nazis, like, I don't know, wrecked his tent or something. I forget what it was.
They like beat everybody up.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
they got in a big fight.
Oh, I could.
It was a bad scene.
Okay. So Dale gets his revenge, and he's like, "Okay, I'm out of here." He doesn't like get on the bus to go home.
No, dude like hitchhikes
He
home.
hitchhikes, yeah. So he ends up at this restaurant called the Post and Beam on Route 487.
He wants to have adventures,
Yeah,
so he figures this is the best way to do it.
pretty much. So he hits the road, ends up having cherry pie and his first cup of coffee.
Zing! Which
Zing.
I had this image in my mind
Yeah,
of Cooper drinking his first cup of coffee and then it being that moment from Requiem for a Dream where you see the eyes get big and the
yeah.
blood vessels open up and
Well, he talks about like he had a cup, and his first cup, then he had another, and then he's all
hmm
what talks about being all wired from it.
yes, yes,
Yeah. He then meets up with a couple of hippies named Star and April. Again, remember
Star in
this is the
April,
'60s, late
yes.
'60s, who end up letting Dale drive their van without a license.
And he's just there. I
Yeah.
can imagine him with both hands white knuckled on the wheel, just
Yeah.
terrified of what's going on, while they have sex in the back of the
Pretty
back of the
much.
VW bus. Yeah,
Yeah. And then April ends up kissing him.
yes, she does.
So, and I guess he ends up like April ends up getting naked and like standing on a rock at some
Hmm.
point, and then Dale's trying to get a look or whatever, and then she ends up disappearing into the shadows. So he's just like, screw it, I'm gonna get drunk on this brandy that's lying around.
Yeah. Oh.
So totally wasted, ends up with a hangover, and at this point, April kisses him again, and then tries to give him a little something for the effort by pressing his face into her breasts.
And he says he could have stayed there all day. He very much enjoyed that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah. So at this point, he got at least things picked up for him a little bit here.
Yes.
He ends up getting home and immediately gets grounded for a week. Just
Yes, his mother says she is so happy to see him, and if he ever does anything like that again, he's dead.
yeah. Apparently, he becomes butterscotch on South Park and gets grounded.
Oh, yes. Yes, exactly. Butters. That's me.
Gee willikers.
I forgot about Butters.
Oh, hamburgers. Yeah. That's my favorite Butters thing.
Oh, Butters.
Oh, hamburgers. Dale's mom ends up having another dream. The man almost got in the door.
Not good.
No, that's a bit of a portent because
Yep.
2 weeks later, his mom has a brain aneurysm.
Mm.
So she's taken to the hospital. She starts bleeding in her brain and dies. And Dale's obviously very upset about this. He ends up attending his mom's funeral, wishes that his brother Emmett would come. No sign of Emmett.
Emmett can't. It's still
I know.
it's still the war. If he comes from home from Canada, he's
Right.
gonna get arrested.
Right. You think he could have come in disguise, but
Well,
yeah, but doesn't make it.
I don't think a fake mustache is gonna do much good with the
Exactly.
Border Patrol.
Yeah, pretty much. This apparently affects Dale enough that he doesn't make any recordings for like a few months, and he wants to go away where no one knows who he is.
Yes.
So at
He's-
this point, he kind of like starts suffering a loss of identity, I think.
I think a little bit. He has really no idea what he's doing. When he turns 16,
Yeah,
after a while, he says that something must happen soon or I will go crazy.
right.
I think he's just feeling like he's about ready to jump out of his skin.
Yeah,
But it's also around this time that his father his father decides that maps of the moon are going to be big bucks
yes,
for his printing company.
right. So
So he's
essentially, yeah, his dad's business takes off.
Right. And his dad discovers a new crater on the moon,
Yeah,
which is interesting because there actually is a Cooper crater on the moon.
right. Right. I think they tried to tie that in, and so
I think they did. I think
so
it's
he
kind
says
of
that he
adorable.
named it after Dale or whatever, called it
He
Cooper's
named-
Crater.
yeah, it's called Cooper's Crater, and
Right.
there is
Yeah.
the Cooper Crater, but it's not named after
No,
them.
no, of course not. But because
Which I think is hilarious.
it's a great way to tie into something actually that happened.
Yes, exactly.
So let's see here. He gets a new English class student teacher.
And oh my God, it's April.
It's April. So
Which I think this is just when you have a teacher
right.
who previously you saw naked and gave you a pyramid to hang above your bed so you'd have better sex.
Right.
Awkward.
Yeah.
That has to be awkward. I loved the pyramid above his bed because he
Right.
taped it above the bed, and one of his friends was like, "Yeah, it just fell at him a couple of times." He had like a bump on his head from where it fell.
Pretty much. So it's like,
Yeah.
a little. It might be a little awkward considering you got to second base with your English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Awkward.
A little bit.
Yes.
He ends up having a dream of his mom, but she's younger,
Mm-hmm.
and she tries to tell him something, but he can't hear her. And then he wakes, and what does he find when he wakes up?
The ring.
The ring.
Woo!
But it's not the ring from the Black Lodge. It's his gold ring,
Yeah.
that he wears.
Yeah.
And he has no idea where it came from.
And his father said that was his mother's ring, and he doesn't know what happened to it. He doesn't know where it went after a while.
Yeah, because he tracked down an old photograph of his mom wearing the ring,
Mm-hmm.
which had been her father's. And yeah, apparently he gave it to her when he died. So
So
ring,
my question is,
yes,
where did she get the ring?
that's
And where did her father get the ring?
right.
So how long has this been going on in his family?
Right. It's a good question.
Weird.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be interesting that if around the same time that she got this ring, it would be time of, hey, the atomic bomb tests?
Ooh, that would be interesting.
See how I connected that?
Yeah, that would be very, very
Because
interesting.
that would be the 50s.
Yeah, but
So,
Cooper was 1954,
oh, that's true.
you
Yeah,
know.
that wouldn't quite work. Okay, I get.
hmm
Yeah, it's true. You got to do
But
that.
around this time, this is like what, like 1970?
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is around 70 right now. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is May 26, 1970. I have here.
All right. Well, the following year, I believe, is when Laura Palmer was born. So
Yeah.
things are starting to get weird.
It's doing a very interesting vocal effect because I can hear
Oh,
the
is it? I'm sorry.
the vibration of the glass.
Sorry. Yeah, I had a
She's
glass under my mouth. I'm thirsty.
um,
Iced tea, one of the best drinks ever.
very refreshing.
Unsweetened iced tea. Thank you
Ah,
very much.
good for you.
We are north of the Mason-Dixon line. It is unsweetened iced tea. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm a sweet tea kind of guy.
You grew up in Florida though, so
Well, I didn't grow up in
went to
Florida.
college in
I
Florida.
went to
You went to
college in
college.
Florida. I grew up in Ohio. So, but I appreciate the sweet tea.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
the especially of when I get the sweet tea with some pancakes over at IHOP. That's good.
Oh, that's too much sweet.
I know.
Super sweet right there.
You balance it with the saltiness of the butter.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I hear you.
it's a
I
salty
hear you.
sweet.
Have I ever told you what my problem is with sweet tea?
No.
Sweet tea to me is the closest thing I can think of to brewed tobacco.
Mm,
So it just
okay.
grosses me out. The thought of it just grosses me out.
That's okay. That's cool.
So, and
It's
because
better
it's
for you.
sweet,
It's better for you. That,
that's true. It is better for you. And because it's sweet, and this is actually decaf iced tea. So this is
oh,
like basically drinking water.
right.
Um, because it's sweet, it doesn't get cold enough.
Okay.
When you add sugar to something, you lower its freezing point.
Right.
So then it just never gets cold enough for me. I like super cold iced tea. So
Okay.
anyway,
Fair enough.
sorry about my iced tea diversion. Back to Cooper.
No, okay. This is good. This is Cooper has coffee. Xan has iced tea.
I have iced tea.
There
Yep.
you go. Let's see what else. He tells April that he needs to talk to her. She says to meet her at her apartment. So Cooper,
hmm
I would think, would be like, "Oh, really?"
Hmm.
And so he tells her about his dream and the ring. But hey, apparently his American history teacher, Mr. Horde, is there
Yeah. So.
again.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, so just can't get a break, can you?
No, he certainly can't. Not that he should be trying
No,
to get with his English teacher, but
well, at this point, like I think he's just more trying to like talk to somebody
I think
about
he's trying to talk to somebody who he thinks might understand, and he's
right,
thinking that April
yeah,
might understand what's going on because of her and her metaphysical
yeah,
pyramid stuff. But
yeah,
again, I also think April is just kind of trying too hard
a little bit, a little.
because when she winds up at the school, she's very dismissive of him
Mhm.
and just very establishment about everything. So I think she's kind of a
Well, maybe it's just she's trying to, like she doesn't want to blow the job, the gig. So she's
possibly,
like
yeah.
maybe like this may not be a good idea to hang around this kid that oh hey
That has already seen my boobies.
pretty much yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
He ends up going on a trip to the Poconos with his father and the Schlermans. Little side note: the Poconos is where Lori and I had our honeymoon.
That's awesome.
That's where we went. Mount Airy
That's
Lodge, which is no longer there.
well, is the Poconos even there anymore?
That's a good question, really.
It's kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask
Yeah.
this. I gotta ask this question.
Okay.
What inspired the Poconos? And please tell me it was Dirty Dancing.
It might be because Lori suggested it, and she's a big Dirty Dancing geek.
Yeah, if you're going to the Poconos of the Catskills, it's probably
You
for
know,
that.
that
So,
I think about it, that's probably I've never really considered that, but you know what? I think you're onto something. I think you're really onto something there. Well done. I'm gonna give you a point there. That was good.
thank you, because
Yeah,
I think that
I'm gonna mark one up for Zan there because yeah,
yeah,
I think you're onto something.
the Catskills and the
Hmm.
Poconos are a very
I think I need to ask
thrill.
Lori about this.
I,
So,
I think you do, and you need to report back to me about it because I'm
hmm.
very curious now.
Now I will. Yeah, now I gotta like finish this podcast so I can ask her about this. Okay, I gotta file that.
Seriously,
I gotta file that away for later. All right.
I would say.
Okay. So while in the Poconos, Dale's dad and the Schlermans get on a rowboat to watch some fireworks in the middle of the lake, apparently, because that would be awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Marie and Dale decide to stay ashore.
Us kids will stay behind, says
Oh, I'm
Marie.
sure we can trust them.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is a good
yeah.
idea.
I mean, I think Bradley would be like, they've tied each other up, you know.
Bradley's probably like, whatever, I just don't want to look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's probably like la 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 la. I'm not listening. La la la. Okay.
Because even Bradley knows when he was talking about the Midwestern field hockey girl, he said
Yeah.
he thinks that the first time Dale ever loved a woman aside from his sister
Right.
was this and the Midwestern field hockey player. So
Yeah.
he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Knows
So
the score.
so Marie again really messing with Dale's head here. Leaves a trail of clothes.
Hmm. And
Unhook.
he's all like, "Oh, I'm using my scout skills of tracking to
Yes.
find
Exactly.
her."
Yep.
He's so proud of
I
himself.
think, I think
He's
he's probably
so
like,
adorable.
this is a cool mystery. This is Ginchy.
I'll solve this. Yeah, exactly.
So she ends up unhooking her bra and then asks him if he believes in God.
He's like, "Yes, I do."
If someone unhooks their bra and asks
And
you if you say God, believe in
you
God,
say,
you say yes.
yes.
Total Ghostbusters paraphrase there,
Total Ghostbusters. Yes.
but yeah. So yes, unless you're a complete idiot, you say yes.
If you
Dale
want to see boobies, just say yes.
Dale says yes, and then he ends up getting a blowjob.
He does. And then we find out that
Yeah,
they found the part of the woods where
yeah.
all the fireworks are falling.
So in the middle of this is presumably his first blowjob. Fireworks come down. And
Fireworks. It's not like this romantic thing that fireworks
no,
start going off. No,
no,
this is where the fireworks
land.
smoldering leftovers
Yeah,
land and like start burning them
yeah.
and
They're
like catch
they
their
catch
clothes
in
on fire.
trees and like their clothes on fire.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
come on. So
I can't believe Cooper had sex ever after this traumatic
oh
experience.
my God, this is you would think this would be like a fountain of like sexual issues that need to be worked
This
out
is like
with a sex therapist or something.
this is a Freudian nightmare
Oh
right
my
here.
God. So oh, and here's the capper. Um, the next day, she drowns, and after hitting her head on a swimming platform.
Yeah.
So
So this is a tragic, tragic ending.
this is like okay, one of the big sexual moments, and then that gets totally wrecked by these fireworks, and then she dies.
And then she dies. This seriously.
How was he not just institutionalized at this point?
I have no idea. I mean, he's been through a lot of traumatic
Now,
experience.
granted, this is the early '70s. Nobody really thinks about this kind of stuff. About like there was trauma back then.
Right, right. You just kind of sucked it up back
Yeah,
then.
exactly. Like take
Yeah.
a lap and walk it off. But
Yeah, exactly.
so Dale decides, okay, I need to get out of here. Hurries up and completes his requirements for graduation early.
Right, he graduates early, like at the age of 16.
Yeah. His dad gives him $1,000, and then Dale again. He's like, "I need something to find something to believe in, or I'm gonna be a total wreck."
And he's gone for 3 years. We
Well,
have no recordings. We have no idea where he is.
right now, before that though, he wakes to find the ring back on his finger once again.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
he does.
this ring shows up at key moments in his life.
Yes, exactly.
So, and apparently at this point, Dale's just like, "Screw it, I'll just leave it on my finger."
Mm-hmm. And he wore it ever since.
Yeah, 'cause apparently it's like it fits his pinky perfectly. So,
Fits his pinky perfectly. Yes.
um,
So, so he is gone
and
for like
this
three
is
years.
presumably the ring that he gives the giant later on.
Yes, yes. This is presumably that ring. Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's gone for 3 years. No recordings, save for a couple of letters that he sent to his father.
And apparently it's every New Year's Day. If you notice the
Yes.
dates,
Yes,
it's
it's every
all
New
New
Year's
Year's Day from 1971 to 73.
Right.
And that takes us to the college years, part
Well,
3.
where do you think he was?
That's a good question.
I think he went to Tibet.
You think? Was
I
he?
think he went to Tibet.
Because it'd be really tough to get in there.
It would be, but I think that's what he did.
Hmm.
I think that's where he went because he talks about seeing all kinds of different things and
That's
his,
a good theory.
his, and if he was probably on a boat somewhere, it's not like he's going to be able to send letters all the time.
Right.
And, he says later that he hasn't spoken to his brother Emmett in about 20 years. So it's not like he went to Canada to see Emmett. So
No, you're probably. I think that's a really good theory.
that's my theory.
I like it.
Or he tried and couldn't, that's where his fascination comes from. But I think he went to Tibet.
Yeah, maybe that he was. This is where he learned that with the Chinese taking over Tibet and whatnot. I can't remember the year that they took over Tibet.
But I think that this is his own secret that he kept for himself.
Maybe it's a good
nobody.
That's a good theory. It's definitely grounds. There's some room for exploration there, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, maybe another book. That'd be great.
Oh, come on, Scott Frost.
Yeah, somebody. Or Mark Frost.
Anybody.
Give me a Frost. There's got to be plenty of Frosts.
Some Frost needs to write a book right now. Come on.
Exactly. Okay, so this takes us to the college years, part 3. And Dale turns 19 at this point, starts wearing a black suit.
Adorable.
So
adorable.
I've gone on my big spiritual journey. I'm coming back. Yep, now I'm the man in black. I went to listen to. That's what he went to listen and got really into Johnny Cash.
Yeah, he followed Johnny Cash around.
There
That's
you
what
go.
he did.
That's what he did.
Ooh, or maybe he was incarcerated in Folsom Prison.
Ooh. After killing a man just to watch him die.
In Reno.
Which is where his dad got married.
Oh, it all comes together.
It's all connected.
Crazy.
This is the kind of stuff that comes in our heads while we do this.
This is the kind of when we try to sleep at night. This is what happens. So he goes to Haverford College.
This is why I'm taking insomnia pills, everybody.
Exactly why. Yes, this is what Ambien was invented for, people.
Yep.
So he goes to Haverford College, which is very close to Bryn Mawr.
Right.
And
this is right outside
another Quaker school.
On the outside of Philadelphia, if you're wondering where it is.
Where it is. And so it's close to home. And it's also Quaker school. It's another Quaker school.
Right. So he ends up taking the SAT for preparation to college.
800.
Yeah, so he totally aced it.
Dude gets a 1600 on the SATs.
Yeah, of course he does. But he doesn't believe that good can or will defeat evil. So he's a little pessimistic at this point.
He's not sure. He likes to fight on the side of good, but he's not sure if good is enough sometimes.
Yeah. He ends up getting a job digging holes for planting trees.
Oh, yes, with what's his name, Jim?
Something like that.
Yeah, the older man who takes him back to his apartment and shows him that he's been keeping, for years, journals. He's written down what he's done every day.
Right.
And he has all of these stacks and stacks of paper in his house. And he tells Cooper that he brought him there just so that someone would see it and would remember. And then a couple hours later, that apartment complex just goes up in flames.
Yep.
And Cooper's pretty sure he sees some guy that looks like Jim, running away in the distance, but he's not 100% sure.
He's trying to maybe he's covering his tracks or something. He was hiding out and got exposed and.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
He ends up becoming the dorm floor monitor.
He does. I also love when he's thinking about getting a job.
Yeah.
his skills that he needs for employment.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Knife throwing.
Yes. So I was like, well, maybe if you were joining the circus. And he actually contemplates, maybe I should join the circus.
He tries to do, and the circus is like, kid, we have so many knife throwers we don't know what to do with. Come back when you're a bearded lady. They basically tell that's what they need at that point. But what's funny about his skills that he decides that he needs for employment is that it completely reminds me of a more spiritual Napoleon Dynamite, where he's like, girls are like guys with good skills, nunchuck skills and computer hacking skills.
Nice.
Right. He thinks that I have compiled a list of skills that I believe will be useful in acquiring needed funds. Fire building, map reading, walking, knife throwing, chanting, breath control, bread baking, juggling, rice planting, and sitting in small dark rooms. Now, this rice planting and breath control and chanting, this is where my Tibet theory comes from. Because why else would he think those things are important?
That's a you're pleading your case very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just as soon as I was reading it, I was like,
That's
nunchuck skills,
yep.
computer hacking skills.
That's great. I would have never made that connection, but that's awesome. That is perfection.
I caught
Uh,
you a delicious bass.
this is why I love talking to you. This is great.
I see you're
Um,
drinking percent.
so finally gets a new tape recorder. It's the size of a notebook now, and it uses cassettes.
Right. For those of you who
And I actually had one of those kind of tape recorders.
mhm.
It's basically like book size.
Yeah, it's like book size, it's black, it's
Yep.
about maybe 2 inches thick.
Yep.
It has a silver speaker just
Right.
built right
With
in, and
a
then
little handle too on it.
with a little handle, and that you can
Yep.
press play, record, things like that. And
That's why I made
if
my first like as a kid kind of mixtapes on.
oh yeah, when you taped off your
Like
kids'
basically
television show.
what I would do is like I didn't have like I had my stereo, but I didn't have like a cassette recording off the stereo, so I used the tape player. I held it up to the speaker to record stuff off of that.
And then your mom would come in your room and say something, and you'd get all pissed off at her, because that's what would happen to me. That's what I would try to do before we had VCRs, was
hmm
tape television shows.
Right.
And my mom would be like, "What are you watching?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Shut up!
Yeah.
Trying to tape this." So,
Gosh.
gosh,
Yeah.
but I have to.
I did that with Monty Python the Holy Grail first.
Nice,
So I could listen to it in the car. The,
fantastic,
yeah,
because
or my like Walkman and stuff, so that it can, yeah,
every geek needs the skill of being able to recite Monty Python and the Holy Grail word.
pretty much. So yeah, you have to start
So
memorizing that dialogue. So yep.
you got to start early. Yeah, my friend Troy, who I've mentioned on the podcast before, when we were kids, taped episodes of You Can't Do That on Television,
Nice. I used
and
to
for the
love that
long
show.
oh, that was a fantastic show, and for the
Right.
longest time, that was the only thing we had. I mean, you can buy it on Amazon now,
hmm
but Amazon Video. But yeah, at the time
Is
there
it
was
on
not.
there? Because I've been looking for it.
It's on Amazon Video. I think you can
Oh
rent it or
wow.
buy it on Amazon Video. You can't get the DVDs
I
though.
wonder if it's on Prime because Lori has Prime.
It is. It is on Prime. Take a look. Take a look. Yeah, it's. I think I just planned Charles's weekend for him.
Oh my God! Yeah, there goes my weekend. It's totally shot now.
It is totally shot. So,
Just
but yeah, that's all
just
we
so
had. If you
I can
can't do that on television,
catch up on
longest time.
Barth.
I heard that.
I heard that. Yeah.
But I will share a quick little story with you. I a couple months ago went to the Ohio Theater here in Columbus and saw An Evening with John Cleese, where we watched Holy Grail and then John Cleese came out and talked
You actually
after.
get to like be in the same theater with him
It
as
was
the Holy Grail was on.
yes, it was unbelievable. It was fantastic.
Wow, that's like a geek highlight right there.
It was amazing. It was amazing, and I was able to buy an autographed poster, so that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Here's the thing about Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful movie, and I love it.
yeah.
I hate watching it with other people.
Why? Because they quote it right along.
The whole time.
Yeah,
Nobody would shut up. And even if they were
yeah,
quiet for a little bit, then they would turn to each other and very loudly whisper that they're not dead yet,
yeah.
or that help they're being a whatever.
Right.
And I just want to say, look around you. We all can do this. Okay?
You're not special.
This is not high school anymore where you're the only kids that can do it. Okay?
Right. Right.
This entire room can do what you're doing right now. Now, the one thing that I forgave and that we all wound up doing
Yeah.
was the monks with the
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah. The Iesu Domine. Yeah.
Dona Hades
Yep.
Requiem.
But
We all did that, and we all had like little programs that we did, so
right. That's like
that was okay. But oh my
because
god,
it's like a group activity. Yes.
that's a group activity. It was like when I went and saw Airplane, and they said it's an entirely different
Yeah.
kind of flying altogether, and the whole theater said it's an entirely different kind of flying.
Nice.
That was a moment. That was a collective moment that we all decided that we would
Right.
do.
Kind of like a Rocky Horror type moment where you
Kind of, yeah, exactly.
very interactive.
An interactive thing, and it was one thing, and we all knew that it was going to happen because we've all seen it before. But
Yep.
I just wanted to say we've all done this. We all can do this.
Or like screaming when they say, and we're out of coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so But yeah, I can't handle watching Monty Python with other people anymore. I just can't do it.
I can understand that. That would kind of get a little annoying to me too.
Because I had forgotten about that. My high school used to have an annual Monty Python film festival,
Yeah.
and we would have to stop the movie and say, knock it off, because some of these people are freshmen and some of them haven't seen this movie before.
Right.
And so just shut your mouth. And I had forgotten that there are movies like that certain people take certain pride in knowing every single word and
Mm-hmm.
forget that they are not the only person that can do that.
No,
So
and they have to ruin it for everybody.
it's just, well, I mean, it would be okay. I could handle it
If
so much better if they didn't try to use a bad British accent when they did it. That's the worst part.
So
I'm not dead. I mean, shut up.
like a Dick Van Dyke bad English impression.
You're like praying for Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, that bad.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, that's my Monty Python aside.
Like,
Sorry.
hello, governor. Yeah.
Oh my God. Just no. Just stop it.
Stop.
Stop it.
Stop. All right. Getting back to Twin Peaks. Yeah, remember that. Okay, so Dale has his new tape recorder. I think that's how we got off this huge tangent.
Yes, talking about tape recorder.
He has a dream that he's sitting in a darkened room and a door with a light coming through the crack. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he hears some voices, one his mother's, at least that's what he thinks at first.
Right.
The others are indistinct, and he kind of wonders, well, okay, was this death, perhaps?
Mm.
And the door handle begins to turn. He realizes that it's not his mom, it's Marie.
Ew!
Dun,
Freudian
dun, dun!
nightmare!
Yeah.
Freudian nightmare!
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again, how is he not getting therapy for this by this point?
He really, really needs it.
Really.
Really badly.
So, at this point, we're in October 73 when at the Bryn Mawr Women's College, he meets a redhead named Andy after getting hit in the head by the field hockey ball.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They end up kissing later, a couple days later, by a bonfire and make love.
The fact that he's able to do that by fire is pretty impressive. Now, is Andy the one that he's having sex with and they fall into the creek?
No.
Or is that Lena?
I think that's Lena.
Okay.
But Andy informs him that, oh, I know we just had this great moment, but I'm leaving for an exchange trip to Holland. And
I thought the Holland, and don't follow me because my husband's coming with me.
Exactly. He's going to be at the airport. And
was Andy? I thought that was Lena.
No, that was Andy. And
okay.
And Dale is just like, again, wait, what just happened? So he's like, okay, I need to get out of here. So he goes home to visit his dad. And he finds him having lunch with a much younger woman, potter, like a potter of clay, kind of like, again, this is kind of like Ghost. And so he later, after this, he ends up like, somehow he's walking around and he ends up shadowing this guy on the street that he thinks is kind of shady and up to no good.
Mm-hmm.
Gets like a big predator vibe from him, but he loses him.
Yeah.
And we don't really get any follow-up on what that was about.
No, we don't, because we find out later when he comes home that he does shadow the 24th Street gang, but he follows a guy and finds a dead woman.
Right.
And that he lost sight of the guy, but then he came up on the woman who has been stabbed a bunch of times and beaten, so she's quite possibly a prostitute. We're not sure what goes on. It's just this is him finding his first dead body. That is,
yeah. Again, he just comes across somebody, and here, but so presumably this guy that he was shadowing is the attacker, the assailant.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he doesn't he's not really in a position to do anything about it.
No, he's just following them, and he's just sort of like, okay, well, what am I going to do when I find this? I mean, he realizes that there's nothing that he can do.
All he can do is just report the body because he doesn't have any evidence of the guy that attacked her.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and then maybe like almost a couple weeks later, he wakes from a dream of Marie sitting on the corner of his bed. So again, he's having more Marie dreams.
And this is from a delirious, terrible fever, like 103-degree fever
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah.
ridiculous.
So she's like mouthing the word stop to him. He asks her to help him, but she shakes her head no and disappears. And this is when he starts realizing, I feel a little warm here.
And what's bizarre, that reminds me, her saying stop reminds me of the giant, which
Yeah,
is
going
no.
no. Yeah,
So
maybe.
what does that mean?
Yeah. Or just that maybe he's on a path of something that she doesn't want him like going down, like some road or whatever. It's like just leave that alone. Maybe
Right,
maybe it's like a
exactly.
warning. Stay away from that predator, I guess maybe. Or just like maybe telling him to like, hey, you need to stop and get to the hospital because hey, you're going to die if you don't get your
Right.
fever treated.
Yes, he had a ridiculously high fever and
103.
103, and he comes up with the theory that the color of white that nurses wear
Yes.
gives men erections,
He's not
which
wrong.
which I think is fascinating because now I don't know if you've been to a hospital recently.
Yeah.
Most nurses wear like purple
Right.
scrubs,
Maybe that's why they do
so
that because they're like,
maybe they
okay,
figured that out.
yeah,
Yeah, they figured that out. Like, dude,
yeah.
we gotta get new outfits for
We
ourselves.
we
This
need
is
to really like uglify these nurses' uniforms because yeah, this is not this yeah this we
this is contributing highly to Florence Nightingale syndrome.
pretty much.
So
Um, and as we gather throughout all this, Dale has plenty of syndromes going on.
he does.
Uh,
He feels better.
yeah,
He
he gets out of the
has
hospital. And like a few days later, he decides, okay, let's see how long I can function without sleep.
he goes home for Christmas,
Yeah,
and his Potter friend has pretty much moved in, made him an eggplant coffee mug. This will come up later.
right.
That's why I mentioned the eggplant coffee mug.
Yep.
Um, and so Cooper, he's got a few days, so he decides that he thinks that sleep is an overrated
Yep.
thing, that the human body doesn't need as much of it as we've been told.
Yeah.
So he's going to see how long he
Yep.
can stay awake.
Now, yeah, because at this point he starts doing like experiments on like his stamina and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
this is like the first of these like series of self experiments.
Yes, these self-exploratory
Yes.
experiments
So
in
he's trying to
stamina
figure
and
out
agility.
he's trying to figure out his limits.
He is. And the best part about this,
Yes.
and we should put this on the Facebook page,
Yeah.
is the little self-portrait he draws of
Yes.
himself,
Yes. Yes.
where it looks like
With it
he's,
with the, like rings under his eyes from like the
well, it reminds me of, and
from
oh my
lack of
God,
sleep.
I can't think of which story this is, but there was a Dr. Seuss story
Okay.
about, I want to say it was a bear who
Okay.
was on top of a hill and said he could see further than anybody else.
Hmm.
And
I
the
don't know that one.
this other creature comes up and says that he can see even farther, and he can see past the mountains all around the world and all the way back here to this same mountain. And there's an idiot on it who thinks that he can see further than anybody else. And in that story, the way that they draw the supervision is like almost like radar waves. So
Yes.
it looks like this drawing. And
Yeah.
it reminds me of that. I'll have to find that story.
It essentially looks like Wi-Fi signals underneath his eyes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like that Wi-Fi icon at the bottom right of your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of looks like that.
Exactly. And then he tries to
Yeah. So
then he tries to come up with a new theory for the Kennedy assassination. He considers himself a Native American and starts calling himself Ten Sticks.
yes.
And then he sleeps for about 17 hours.
Yeah. And then he signs off going like, "This is me, 10 sticks."
This is me, 10 Sticks. Yeah, I love that. That is so funny.
It was
Because
good.
he's just losing his damn mind
Pretty much. Pretty much.
as
So
we watch.
yeah. So a couple of months later, Andy comes back from Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out her husband fell in love while he was there and decided to stay in Holland. So
Pretty much.
so Dale's like, okay, this is a positive sign. Even better, Andy gives Dale a small book on the Kama Sutra.
Hey,
So he's like, yes, thumbs up.
thumbs up for Andy.
Thumbs up from so Dale and Andy end up getting a hotel room to study. Again, this is another experiment of Dale's
Mm-hmm.
to study the limitations of mind and body. Oh, that's what we're calling it.
That's what we're calling it, and
And they spend like the next day in bed.
just doing whatever they possibly can do.
Well, and they start keeping score. At least Dale does, and apparently he's keeping score on their orgasms. If I read this correctly.
Yes, he's keeping score on the orgasms. Exactly.
And apparently Andy was ahead for quite some time, but then Dale caught up and tied it. So
Right.
At 14.
Yes, they tied it up at 14, which they need food after that. I'm just gonna say that.
I would think.
Yeah, seriously.
And about a month later, Andy learns her estranged husband Tim. Some may call me Tim.
Tim.
Yes.
And here we are again.
Then a python. Sorry, I just couldn't help it. You're right. Apparently he was injured, and so she's like, okay, I got to go back to Holland. And Dale's like, wait, what?
He's like, don't let the door hit your ass on the way up.
Well, he probably at this point he probably needs like like a good cortisone cream or something for this, to kind of recuperate.
What does he have, like, contact rash or something like that?
Or just just he's probably very sore at this point.
Yes.
Probably could use the break.
Here's that,
So he's
that
definitely
I was telling you about.
Yes. Where was it? So what book is that? Oh
This is in Yertle the Turtle, and
Yertle
it's
the
a
Turtle.
story
Okay.
about a bear and a rabbit, and I forget what this story is called. The bear and the rabbit are both showing off. The bear can smell, the rabbit can hear. The Big Brag is what it's called.
Okay.
The bear can smell really far, and the rabbit can hear really far. And the worm pops out and says, "Oh, I can see all across the world." And he shows that he's looking all the way past Japan, past China, past all the countries, and then all the way back around to the same top of the hill to find none other than you, who seem to have nothing else better to do than sit here and argue who's better than who.
Very
But
nice.
yeah, that worm's eyes reminded me of that. Cooper reminded me of that worm.
Yeah,
so.
Those are kind of ringed.
Yes, exactly. I will try and put those on.
Yeah, please do. That'd be awesome.
On the Facebook page once we have this podcast up.
All right. So Cooper ends up going to New York to study, again, another experiment, goes to New York to study the effect of tall buildings on a tribal structure.
Mm-hmm.
He
just gets robbed.
Well, he goes to Central Park. He gets chased out of the park, gets attacked, and his wallet is stolen.
Pretty much. And he's like,
and he gets a minor head wound for his trouble, too.
He does, and then he's pretty much told stay the hell out of New York.
Yeah, because he gets arrested after he walks into a protest march.
Right, and he's like in a suit going like, you can't tell that I'm not with this group of people.
Pretty much. So the judge, after talking to the judge, though, the judge is like, okay, just get out of New York and don't come back. And
stay home,
and Dale's like, not a problem.
Yeah, no, that is fine. Done. Done deal, sir.
It's like the Simpsons episode where Homer goes to New York with the Simpsons, and
you're gonna have a bad impression of anything if you only focus on the pimps and the chuds. Where Homer's driving.
Well, like he gets like a boot on his car, and he just keeps driving the car with the boot on,
and then he
so it's just going rolls over clunk. Clunk,
and he's wrecked
and he's all like gripping the steering wheel, like gotta get out of New York.
And he gets the boot off by using a jackhammer, which then of course further destroys the body of the car and breaks all the windows in the car.
Yes.
So as he's driving away, a trash truck is in front of him and smacking him in the face with used needles and band-aids and banana peels.
And I think his eyes twitching by this point. He's going.
His eyes twitching and Lisa says, "What a magical city. Can we come back next year, Dad?" And he says,
we'll see, honey. We'll see. Yeah.
And then he gets splat in the face with used syringes because, at the time, the joke was that syringes and medical waste were washing up on the shores of New York and New Jersey because things were not being disposed of properly.
Nope.
So,
All
yeah.
right, all
Yeah,
right.
New York and Dale Cooper did not get along very well.
Nope. Nope. Apparently not. Okay, this takes us to where we have Dale taking an internship at a county hospital to assist in the study of average people who go crazy, mad.
Yes.
He's 20 by this point, and he attends an autopsy at a local medical school. And then a month after that, he goes to his dad's wedding to Charlotte the Potter in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And presumably does not run into the people that he meets later, like 25 years later or whatever, or more than that, probably 40 years later.
Oh
And
my God, yeah, that would be 40
40
years
years
later.
later, yeah, pretty much. Um,
Well, the Mitchum brothers are
yeah,
probably just a
yeah.
little bit older than him, so it's not like they had the
Right.
silver Mustang yet.
No, not
So
yet. Maybe their father did. Who knows?
yeah, who knows? But Janie E's certainly not
Yeah,
there yet.
yeah. That would have been a nice touch if they had somehow, like, he got married at the Silver Mustang, and then you're
Oh
going
my
all
goodness,
these
that would
years
have
later,
been
going,
like,
oh,
what?
yeah, that's crazy. No. Uh, so his dad calls him a couple months later after that, says Charlotte's pregnant. She's preggers. Well,
I love the way he says this because he says, "Dad called me to say that I'm going to have a little brother or sister," and then like a couple days later, Dad called to say I'm not going to have a little brother or sister.
yeah, yeah, because he says, well, his dad calls back and says, oh, by the way, guess what? I'm sterile.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But Charlotte's still pregnant, so go ahead and throw that eggplant coffee mug out the window.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she ran off with a photographer
Oh my
because it's
goodness.
always a photographer. And so the baby's not his, so they call it quits.
Mm-hmm.
Dale's turns 21, but apparently, like, he loses all the tapes from the previous 9 months when electric blanket catches on fire.
He's got some fire issues going on in his life.
Fire, yeah, exactly. Noticing the themes here. That will
Fire.
play a point.
Fuck.
Women, violence, fire. Yep, not good.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Um, so he does another experiment, this time to attempt to discover how long an individual can function without urinating while consuming a normal amount of liquid, i.e., coffee.
So he drinks a bunch of coffee and then
Coffee.
winds up peeing for 2 straight minutes.
Yep.
And
And apparently it's like the best feeling, because yes.
the best feeling ever. It's like, if it weren't for the pain that came up before it, he says it's like better than orgasming.
Yeah.
So,
And I just love it because he documents it hour by hour, and he's like, starts off, feeling fine, and
mm-hmm.
then goes a little bit, it's like, the urge, and then he's like, suddenly the urge went away.
And then, oh my God, I'm in
Then-
terrible pain.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then it just all goes wrong.
It's pretty funny. Shortly after this, this is when he meets Lena, another Bryn Mawr student, who
Mm-hmm.
apparently knows more about coffee than anybody.
This is who teaches him to have his palate for the beans,
Yep.
shall we say.
Yes.
Bryn Mawr, famously female school, Haverford, famously boys' school.
Right. Well, because
So-
Dale brings this up that like he's sick of all these guys, and
Well, he talks about being really horny, and I think
Yes.
I'm wondering if the decision to go to an all-boys college was a mistake.
right. So he goes down the road to the women's college.
Right. So, yes, Bryn Mawr and Haverford have mixers.
Right. I'm sure they do. Turns out though that Lena tells him the next day that, oh, I've taken this vow of celibacy.
Ah! Cooper cannot win. See, it's.
And at this point, he's probably like, "Are you kidding me?"
How do I keep meeting these people?
Yeah. Let's just say it reminded me a lot of some of my fond memories of college and the problems I had. So,
Well, and I've had.
I'm sure a lot of people have had these kinds of problems in certain ways, but
I'm sure. I know Chris has told me stories
not
of.
so much with dead bodies lying around, but
No, not so much dead bodies and not so many fires.
No.
Speaking of about fires, but
Right.
Yeah, Chris has told me stories about, thinking he's on a date and then being introduced to a boyfriend, stuff like that, where it's just like, oh my God. And then I have some very close male friends who are very nice, kind of quiet, shy guys.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, the only girls that they were ever with were the crazy girls because they were the ones that would talk to them.
Ah,
Like they would make the first moves.
right.
So it would be these women that you'd be like, I'm like kind of worried about her. Yeah, it's a little bit, it's a little
Yeah.
bit weird. But yeah, Cooper reminds me of that where he's got so much else on his mind and so many goals, and he's a nice guy that he's not out actively trolling and trying to hook up.
No.
So when he does hook up, it's because the opportunity presented itself, not because it's necessarily someone he was trying to woo or get with. Like for example, Marie
Yes.
just happened to be across the street with a window open,
Right.
you
And
know.
and when you're a kid, it's not like you have a lot of options. So
And it's not like you've got any moves, you don't have
yeah,
a lot of,
and
you don't get
especially when it's like the girl next door,
girls.
you're like, this is awesome.
Right, this is great. I can see boobies from my own bedroom.
Right.
And then there are people like April that grab him and put him in her bosom,
Yep.
and then there's Andy, which was kind of they met at a party, and he's like, all right, well this works, and then she turns out to be kind of full of baggage,
Yeah, pretty much.
and so yeah, Cooper's not actively, and the only person he ever actively sort of fell for was Anne the lesbian.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work for him. So he winds up taking opportunities as they come to him rather than creating opportunities for
Yeah, because it
himself.
seems like when he goes actively pursuing them, it doesn't work out. So he just waits for them to happen, like you said. Yep.
Right. And so with Lena,
Yep.
they sort of hit it off, and she takes him home to meet her family.
Yeah. Well,
And because she's got a vow of celibacy until she can bury the hatchet with her mother.
yeah.
And we don't quite know what's going on with her mother
Right.
until he goes home
Yeah.
to visit her family. And she said, this is the first time I've brought a guy home since my mother slept with the last guy I brought home.
Right.
So this family is nuts. Okay.
Yeah. This is basically not a good omen.
And so he says that, she gets along with her father okay, and she's really not getting along with her mom, but he says, yeah, she's a very charming woman. I don't see what's wrong with her. And then
So like at 2 o'clock in the morning at this point, Lena's mom, Joan, goes to Dale's room,
mhm,
and just when things are about to get awkward, a fire erupts in their garage.
because Lena
Again, fire.
is an arsonist.
Yeah. That was like while you on the driving back to Haverford, Dale realizes, his girlfriend's an arsonist.
It's an interesting thing to realize your girlfriend is an arsonist.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then, okay, at this point, Lena's like, "Hey, guess what? I'm ready for sex now."
Mhm. Let's
Oh,
pull the car over.
and then Dale's just like, "Yeah, what?"
He's like, okay, so we're going to pull the car over,
Yep.
but forget about the parking brake. So while we're in the middle of having sex,
Well, you put the parking brake on, but apparently it slipped out of gear.
they probably kicked it off.
Yeah,
Is probably
because
what happened.
like moving around, and then they probably bumped it. Yeah.
Exactly, you probably bumped it. And so then the car starts careening down a hill
Yep.
and runs into the horns of a bull.
Yeah, who basically takes out the radiator.
Uh-huh. Like who has this many traumatic sexual experiences?
This is like like Dell's sexual experiences are like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
It's like the 40-year-old virgin where like just bad things happen every time he tries to have sex, so he just stops trying.
Right.
So, oh my gosh. Yeah. So after they get the radiator fixed and
Yeah. So they get back. Dale gets a call from Lena's mother that Lena has voluntarily checked herself into the hospital for psychiatric evaluation
probably for the best.
probably for the best, but because of course, yeah, slightly. So he goes to visit her, and she's all cheery and happy, but doesn't remember him.
No, has no idea who he is.
So she apparently has like some big psychotic break
Yes,
after
exactly.
setting fire to the garage.
Setting fire to the garage and then being almost impaled by a bull while having sex in a car.
Yeah. So she gets out of the hospital. At this point, she thinks Dale is her brother Todd.
Oh, yes,
So
that's right. The
that's
brother Todd. I forgot about him.
so this is progress, I guess, sort of. At this point, you would think he would have come to this conclusion sooner. Dale concludes that he has some form of curse and needs it. No kidding, and needs a healer.
Yes.
So he spends the entire month of October talking with various faiths. Eventually, this leads him to a Sioux Indian holy man who laughs at him after he tells his story.
This is a wonderful story too.
Yeah, and when apparently this is what makes Dale feel better about himself somehow. He's not quite sure how it works, but apparently this is what he needed.
Mm-hmm.
And
The story is about a horse. The Sioux man's brother had a horse that refused to walk on on like grass
right,
because he was afraid of stepping in a gopher hole.
yeah,
So he would only walk on the streets and then was hit by a car. So it's
nice.
like if you spend your entire time trying to avoid something, you don't see what's coming right at you. Is the
No,
moral of that story, which
right,
I think is absolutely wonderful. I also love about this is that he goes to Catholics, then Protestants, and then he meets a Muslim man who
yeah,
says, "If the Catholics and Protestants have already gotten to you, there's nothing I
yeah,
can do with you."
yeah. Well, doesn't he say
Which I
something
thought was
like
hilarious.
he goes like to the Catholics, and then they say like, okay, buy a subscription to our magazine or whatever.
And it's
It's
1650, but the
16.50, and then
Protestants,
then he goes to the Protestants, and then it's like apparently it's like 50 cents more or something like
it's
this.
$17, and they accuse the Catholics of using cheap paper,
That's it. Yes, that's it.
which is so great.
Yes, that was
And
great.
then the Muslim guy is like, "Hey, if the Protestants and Catholics have already poisoned you, I can't help you."
Right. So that's pretty good. So it's no wonder he turned to the Sioux Indian holy man.
Well, and I think that's great advice. If you spend your entire life avoiding one thing,
Right,
you're not going to see the other things that are coming at you.
right.
You've got to be vigilant.
Yep. And it also
And
shows how open to other alternative faiths he is.
yes,
So,
yes, exactly.
um, when he gets back, apparently 3 severed fingers are found in the biology building. And he goes to,
Weird.
so again, more creepiness going on. He goes to check it out, but we don't really get a follow up on what happened with this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is kind of like something that's left hanging.
Right.
Um, Now, at this point, there's a big thing going on here because there's a job fair at the college at Haverford. And this is where Dale meets Special Agent Wyndham Earl.
He
Dun dun
meets Special Agent
dun!
Wyndham Earl, who
He's working the FBI booth.
he's working the FBI booth. Yeah, and he and Cooper seem to hit it off pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah. The which apparently comes in later when Cooper gets interviewed by the FBI or whatever, as we'll get into.
I believe I've met him before.
Yes, exactly. He gets a letter from Lena at this point. She married her high school sweetheart. Well, great for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Dale's just like, okay, I'm going to go look up the members of the 24th Street Gang.
And see what happened to them.
Yep. So he meets Ted, the guy who stole his tape recorder at 13. And we find out Ted was a prisoner for manslaughter and then was raped and stabbed while he was serving his time.
Well, and I think what Cooper says about Ted is very interesting. That he always felt that to have experiences
Mm-hmm.
was related to your geographical location. That you had to travel to have experiences.
Yeah.
And this poor guy had experienced so much terrible stuff and stayed in the same place forever. That changed his mind. That you can learn things and experience things without having to go anywhere.
Yep.
Whether or not it's a good experience or not, that's not part of the point. The point is different things can happen no matter where you are.
Right. You can learn from bad experiences just as you can
You
from
absolutely can.
good experiences.
Yep.
Because failure is one of those things that, yes, can teach you quite a bit.
Can teach you quite a bit. And then he says he finds other members of the 24th Street Gang, and they have guns now.
Yeah, apparently they've kind of stepped their game up a little bit.
They stepped their game up a little bit, yes.
Yeah, because the second member of the gang that he goes to look up is still active. He hits Dale on the head sends him to the hospital. So again, he's back in the
Hmm.
hospital. It's a wonder he doesn't have like brain damage by this point.
Seriously.
He's not sure how he got there. And as we hit New Year's Day of 1976, Dale's dad is bankrupt. Apparently, the
Um,
printing business or the moon map business isn't going as well as he would like these days, because that kind of weaned off. And he asked Dale to go through his stuff and decide what he wants. And
because the bank gave him the option to either keep the house
right,
or keep the print shop.
and he
And the dad decided to keep the print shop and live
so he could get
above
it.
it in the apartment above it.
Right, he
So he
lived
can
above a
still.
convenience. Oh wait, no, that's something else.
Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah,
So Dale keeps,
yeah.
you know,
Like it was really interesting because some of the things that he keeps is pretty funny. Um, so he keeps a hammer, a screwdriver
the
set.
hammer, the
Yes.
hammer that I'm presuming was given to him by Mr. Sims of Sims Hardware when he thwarted that robbery when
Oh,
he was a kid.
okay. I was trying to figure out
Remember
what that.
that?
I was trying to figure out the significance of the hammer, but you're probably
Yeah,
right.
that he gave him
Yeah,
a claw hammer for his
that's right.
trouble.
That's a claw hammer. Yes.
So I'm thinking that that's what that hammer was.
Okay, you're right. Um, it gets there's a picture letter of J. Edgar Hoover, which of course he's
Of
going to keep.
course.
He's going to keep the picture of Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps a picture of his mom and dad,
And keeps
uh,
a small picture of Marie.
and he keeps a picture of Marie. He
Mm-hmm.
also keeps his suits, of course, his Boy Scout manual.
Of course, be prepared.
I still have mine somewhere in a box, but I
I
still have it. Uh,
might still have my Girl Scout manual, actually.
a baseball card of Duke Snyder. Copy of Moby Dick for some reason. That's important to him. So,
Mm-hmm.
some very interesting items, needless to
Yes,
say.
very.
So he moves his dad into the apartment and then completes the test for early graduation from college. So again,
Yes,
he's
he
trying.
tests he
He's
tests
basically,
out of everything. So,
yeah. Apparently, he's just breezing through
oh
um,
yeah.
on the accelerated program. But turns out he's 1 year short of eligibility age for acceptance in the FBI. No. Yeah. Yeah. So he's only 22, and
Still pretty good.
yeah. Um, so while he's waiting to hit the eligibility age, which presumably is 23, there he goes on kind of like he basically kind of walks the earth like Kane in Kung Fu,
You're gonna
and
be a bum because without a residence, a job, or legal tender,
you're a bum.
that's what you are, Jules. You're an effing bum. I'll just be Jules, Vincent.
I'm gonna walk the earth. Yeah. Okay. So he only does one recording at this point from between between then, where he says the words "evil does have a face."
What does that mean?
And of course it says whereabouts unknown. Dun dun dun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I am assuming that the him from his mother's dreams
Yeah.
finally showed himself.
Yes.
So
Yes.
because is there a timestamp on that recording?
It just says February of 77.
Yeah, I didn't think there was, but I
Yeah.
I got the impression that he woke up from a dream and
Yeah.
said that that's what's going on. So
Probably. But
yeah,
but again, we don't really know the context, so we're not sure.
no, we don't. We have
But
no idea.
and that's probably where we're going to leave it for now because we've talked 2 hours just like that.
2
So
hours of the early life of Dale Cooper, and we still haven't gotten to the FBI yet.
yeah, so I guess we'll have to speak about the FBI years next time.
Yes, we absolutely
Next
will.
time on Ghostwood. So I guess you have to come back for episode 29.
You're going to have to come back because if you've never read this book before and you
Yes,
want to,
right.
it's going to cost you, kids, because this book, we apologize for this,
Yeah.
but this book is, in fact, out of print,
Yes.
and it ranges anywhere from $45 to $100
Yeah.
on
Well,
either Amazon Marketplace or eBay.
well, you could track down an ebook or I tracked down an iBooks version that somebody made. So
Oh, okay, well,
and
that's
I
pretty good.
uploaded it to my iPad so I could read it that way without
Not,
without bending the spine of my pristine copy of the autobiography of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper.
So it's no longer a collectible. My spine is still pretty
Yes,
in very good shape right
yes.
there. However,
I
my
keep mine in mint condition.
mint condition, near mint condition, mine, unfortunately, I
Yes.
put my name in it.
Yep.
So
I still
if,
like my explanation that Wyndham Earl wrote in it.
that's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that he wrote in that. And he knew it was going
So what you
to.
should do is just put the word "to" beside it, and then
Oh yeah, there you go.
yep,
But I'm not. I
and
don't
then just
actually
go, and then
remember.
just write Wyndham Earl below it.
Oh yeah. So I'm pretty sure that I bought this book way. I know I bought it used.
Yeah,
I know I bought it used, and I'm pretty sure I bought it way after the series was over. So I don't believe that I read it
like at a half price books or something, or
exactly at a half price books.
okay,
Yep.
there. All right.
That's exactly where it came from. And one of my favorite things about this book is, for those of you older kids out there
Yep.
who remember books and
Yeah.
also remember how we ordered things through the mail before there was an internet,
Right.
that this book at the back of it has order forms where you can order other books.
Yeah.
And one of them is the Access Guide to the Town.
Yep. Which I
The other
have.
one is Laura Palmer's Secret Diary.
Which I also have.
The other one is Diane, the Twin Peaks Tapes of Agent Cooper, the audiobook,
Which I also have.
which I also have. And then there's one where you can call and order the trading card set,
That I
which
don't.
I also have.
I don't have the trading card set. You're up on me
That
on that
I
one.
have. That I have. So
Ah,
everything that you can order from the back of this book, I actually have.
I
So
would like the trading card set. You're up on me on that one.
that those I bought
Those have to be collectible.
a
This,
long time ago. I bought those. I definitely bought those when I was in high school.
yeah,
So,
those have to be because I mean that's 25 years ago. Those, yep,
oh yeah.
I would think
So
so. I would think so.
mine are nice in the collectible album. I had the little box that came with it, but I
Yeah.
think the box is like folded up somewhere in the notebook now. So, and I want to say one of them is signed, but I don't remember which one. So,
Okay. All right.
but yeah, I liked the fact that there was an order back of the book because this was a thing back in the day where you could order things. You would take it and you'd Xerox it and then send that in. And I like that. That was like a little checklist of all the Twin Peaks stuff you could buy, and I actually was able to find it all.
Memories.
I know, right?
Yes.
So much fun.
Those were the days. All right.
The
So,
kids still have like Scholastic Book Club stuff where they get like the order form and then they give their money, and then one day they come back from gym class and there's books on their desk.
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
That was so awesome.
because neither of us has kids, so I don't know.
No, I have no idea. I'll ask around about
We
that.
need to talk to people who actually have kids. Maybe they know.
Who actually have children?
That might be a good source. Just saying.
Figure out what's up with kids these days.
Yeah, exactly. So we're a little out of touch. All right, so obviously we're going to pick this up next time on Ghostwood, where we will cover Dale Cooper's FBI years at the Academy and as a special agent. So, and that leads us right up
the people
to
he does.
yeah,
We'll discuss the people he does and does not meet.
right, and some people that
So
he meets that were also met by a certain special agent Chet Desmond. Wait, what? So
just a little bit, yeah. Who?
Yeah.
What? What's going on?
yeah, that can't be right, can it? Okay. Well,
So yes. So next time.
Yep.
Next time on the Ghostwood Out of Print Book Club, we'll be discussing the second half of the autobiography of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Not that we're like digging like in the archives for this stuff, but yep. So all right. So
yeah, we're not trying. It's just happening.
No. In the meantime, you can find Ghostwood, or at least if you want to get a hold of us. I know we have some feedback, but probably have to save that for next time because we're running long here. But so apologies for that. But if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us on the Twitter machine at GhostwoodCast on the Twitter machine, and then Ghostwood Twin Peaks Podcast on the Facebook, of course. And then you could email us at ghostwoodpodcast at gmail.com. You can drop us a line there. That would be great. And Xan, where can they find you on the interwebs?
I am on the Twitters at
Yes.
Udinax19 and on the Facebook as Xan Sprouse, and I'm also lurking around the
Ooh,
Ghostwood page.
lurking.
And what about you, Charles?
I am also lurking around the Ghostwood page, but you can reach me on the Twitter machine at Charles Skaggs. You can reach me on Instagram at Charles Skaggs or Facebook at Charles
Oh yes,
Skaggs.
I'm also on the Instagram. I'm
Yep,
on the Instagram also as Udinax19.
there
So
you go.
Instagram and Twitter will find you. Will
There you
find
go. There you
me
go.
on with
Please
Udinax19.
follow her on both because she's awesome. Um,
Oh, please follow Charles because he's awesome.
you're more awesome. I'm just,
You post more though, so you're much more
yeah,
entertaining.
yeah. I try. I try. Maybe just because I have less of a life. I don't know. But
Oh, I don't know if it's possible to have less of a life than I do, but
all right, we're actually going to compete about who has the less of a life. I don't know.
that's what we're gonna do.
All right,
Yes.
all right, all right. So yeah, Facebook, you can reach me there, Charles Skaggs. My blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all things Twin Peaks or what we cover here on Ghostwood, all kinds of comic book, sci-fi news. Posted a bunch of trailer stuff lately.
Heck
So
yeah,
lots
trailers,
of
Han Solo, baby.
trailers everywhere. Yeah, Solo and Ant-Man and the Wasp and Jessica Jones season 2 and what else? I think that Tom Hardy Venom thing came out recently.
Oh dang,
Yep,
that looks good.
yep. So there's
I'm not a
that.
big fan of Venom, but Tom Hardy,
Tom
I
Hardy,
think
you're
is
a big Tom Hardy fan?
I love Tom Hardy. I think he's very good and very does very interesting things. He
Even
makes a,
when he was bad.
even when he was Bane, which is not as good because you don't get to see him, but you know
But he did have that cool mask.
he did have that cool
And
mask.
that very weird affect to his voice.
Oh yeah,
So
they had to do
Batman, yes.
yeah, and then Batman sounds like Assy McGee the whole time. So it's just, that was a weird movie.
Yeah, it was a weird movie. It's not exactly Christopher Nolan's finest. Let's just put it that way.
No,
Um,
no, not our
uh,
favorite.
he didn't
Not our-
quite stick the landing in the trilogy.
No, no, he did not.
No.
So yes, lots of trailers going on. Black
Yeah,
Panther's coming out
so,
tonight,
oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Are you geeking? Are you excited?
and
Do you at least have
extremely
advanced?
excited.
Do you at least have advanced tickets? I hope.
I don't. I need
You
to
don't
get
have
on
it.
that.
I was to say you need advanced screening at least.
I need to buy some tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, not tonight. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
next week. It's not tonight. It's next week.
No, it comes out. Yeah, it comes out on my dad's birthday, the
Awesome.
16th of February. So everybody go see Black Panther, y'all.
Totally. Go
Yeah,
see Black Panther,
it
and
actually
then
looks really good. So I'm really and gotten some insanely good reviews.
and then
Advanced.
go buy some Black Panther issues. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good idea. Like some graphic novels and stuff. And there's like a cool, nice hardcover collection which has like the first 12 issues and the current series
Uh-huh.
by a certain
Yeah, some really amazing art
Chris
by
Prouse. Yeah,
Chris Sprouse and Brian Stelfreeze.
yeah,
Good times.
yeah. I think you want to support that, don't you? Yeah, don't you?
Well, and all of you NPR geeks out there, go buy your Ta-Nehisi Coates comic books, kids.
Yep. And then talk really close to the microphone as you discuss this on NPR.
Oh yes. Have you watched Parks and Recreation?
No, I was thinking of the SNL sketch that.
Oh, the SNL. There's a Parks and Rec where the NPR
Yes.
DJ is Dan Castellaneta, famous for being Homer Simpson.
Right.
And they start playing some terrible music, and she's like, "This is awful," and he says, "Oh yes, they're quite terrible, but lesbians." like,
Nice.
well, they're horrible, but they're lesbians, and we're NPR.
Well,
So
there you go. That's an automatic pass.
Oh, they're quite terrible, but lesbians.
Very nice. All right. So if this hasn't been enough for you, yeah, come on back for part 2 of our discussion of the autobiography of Dale Cooper.
It's either listen to us or spend $100 and read the book by yourself.
Yep.
I think the choice is clear, kids.
I think so. So help support the show and also support the Southgate Media Patreon while you're at it, because that helps keep the lights on.
Yeah, go check it out, because I was actually talking to my boss today about this, and I told her that tonight was podcast night. She said, "Oh yeah, so is that hard to, load it up and do all the I said, "I would have no idea because we actually work for a producer guy,
Yeah,
Rob
he does
Southgate,
he does all the heavy lifting.
who does all the heavy lifting for us. So I don't even record this. Charles actually, his computer is the one that's recording it.
Right. So
So
if my recording gets screwed up, we're totally screwed, and we
we
have to
got to
do this
start
all
over.
over again.
So Charles records it, sends it to Rob, and then magically a podcast appears.
Poof.
So
Just like I Dream of Jeannie. Jing.
and he does this like once a month.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. And so if you're waiting for us and wanting to geek out on something else, go check out the Southgate Media Group Patreon page. And seriously, give us $1 or $2.
Yep.
And then you'll be kept updated with what's going on and what we're doing. And
It's just sitting in your PayPal account anyway, so you might as well send it, kick it in.
seriously, like I said last time, there's no reason to buy.
Yes, yes. No reason to buy something. I lost Zan there for a moment, so hopefully she can hear me.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. It just kind of froze up there.
That's weird.
All right. I think that's
I
a
think
sign. I think the Skype is saying, okay, you guys want to end this podcast by now?
Skype is saying, shut the hell up, you kids.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
All right. So, okay, we'll take the warning. All right, fine.
Fine, Skype.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. All right. All right. So next time, come on back for part 2, and we'll see you next time right here on Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Bye, everybody.